Hello. Today we will talk about retirement in Ukraine. I receive many emails from men all over the world who would want to retire in Ukraine but hardly understand what it is to move to another country and live there. I had a number of consultations with some smart men who would want to move to a village in Ukraine and live there, but unfortunately I receive many emails from men who think that everything in Ukraine is very cheap and almost for free, including all my advices and all my help that I would provide to search a right house for them. And this video will be interesting for such men who do not want to pay for any consultations, and I'll give you some idea of what it's like to retire in Ukrainian village. But before we move on, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Like that video already? Great, so let's move on. How does a typical foreign man imagines his retirement in Ukraine? It will be like buying a cheap house somewhere in Carpathian Mountains. It will be, of course, cheap food, cheap utilities, many friendly people who would be willing to help, and of course, many young, beautiful girls who will be happy to live with you and will be your girlfriends if you only feed them and maybe buy some cheap clothes, and you will enjoy your life in the nature, in the woods, or next to the sea, right? In reality, everything is a little bit different. We will talk more about retirement in Carpathian Mountains if this video becomes popular. But most of the time I receive emails from men who watch this video and ask if this house is still for sale after 2 years for that same price. It is really funny because bargain-priced real estate, if it is apartments, houses or land, is sold very fast, usually within days or maybe weeks. And I have talked about it quite a lot in my previous videos, that it's very difficult for a foreign man to buy a bargain-priced house, apartment or land. But many bloggers, especially now that it is very popular like to live maybe in village, you will see that bloggers like advertise houses in villages, in Ukrainian villages, for $2, $3, $4 or like $5,000 for a house with land. And it is true, it is indeed possible to buy such house and start living in it straight away. But first quest will be to find a right house. And for you as a foreign man with no or very little knowledge of Russian or Ukrainian, it would be extremely difficult. And here is why. Simply because there are no realtors who specialize on these village cheap houses. If house costs, for example, $3,000, maximum commission of realtor for this particular house will be $300, not more. And it is just not interesting for realtor to sell these houses. It is much easier to sell one apartment in Kiev, average price of which is about like 60 to 80,000 US dollars now, and earn commission from $3,000 to $5,000 straight away. Then by driving to villages with you, to look for these houses, to schedule appointments with owners of these houses, then maybe check if all documents are okay, if documents for the land is okay, to check the owners, and so on and so on. It's just too complicated for a price of $300 or even $500 US dollars. It's pretty funny, but some men write me that they have friends in Kiev or in Odessa or in Lviv who would help them in every way possible. Well, if you have friends, why do you write emails to me? And the answer to that question is very simple, because of course nobody would help you for free. And I don't think that you have such good friends in Kiev, in Lviv, in Odessa, or in some other Ukrainian city. So how much is it to find a good house in a village in Ukraine? Let's calculate it. Many men write me that they would want to come to Ukraine and to look for such house and to buy a house for $3,000 or $4,000 US dollars. Okay, let's assume you came to Kiev and you have to stay somewhere, right? And if you arrive to Kiev, for example, for 2 or 3 months, you can rent an apartment long term and of course pay much more interesting price than if you would stay on a daily basis. But if you rent an apartment even for 3 months, I think the price for rent in the center of Kiev, or close to the center, will be about $500 per month. So if you came for 2 months, it will be additional $1,000. Since you arrived to Kiev, and many of you would arrive from Canada or from United States, I think round-trip tickets would cost about $1,000 or $1,500 more. So that's already $2,500. And second quest is that you have to find someone who would spend their time to find such good deals, then scheduling appointments with owners of those houses, driving you to those villages, and those villages are located not so close to Kiev, and some houses will be located not even in Kiev region, so you will have to drive to another regions. And it would be maybe Zhytomyr region, Poltava region, or Cherkasy region, where indeed it is possible to find such cheap houses. If you thought that somebody would drive you for like 2 or 3 weeks or a month to find a house for just a commission of $300 or $500, well, think again. Nobody would do that. You will have to check maybe 2, 3, 4, or 5 houses in one region, and then maybe 2, 3, or 5 houses in another region. And overall, I would say you would have to see between 10 to 20 propositions with houses, with land, and evaluate which one to buy. And it would take maybe about a month, I would say. Be prepared that you will have to drive with that person 1,000 kilometers or miles, or maybe 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers overall, and that's about 2,000 miles. And you would spend about maybe 2, 3, or even 4 weeks, and prepare to stay in hotels in those regions and pay for the hotel to the person who would be driving with you. It's like you hire a person to be your own guide for this 1 month, and that would cost with petrol, with hotels, and with everything, I would say about $2,000 if you decide to come to Kiev and hire such person. That would be including petrol. After you find the right house, you would have to hire a lawyer or a detective who would check all the documents for the house and for the land. Maybe a background check of seller will be needed, and there will be a notary fee of about maybe $300 or $400 for filing and registering all the documents with the sale. And why do I say that you have to check out from 10 to 20 houses? Because many village houses in Ukraine have problems with documents, and it might be problems either for the house or for the land or for both. And on the phone, everybody will tell you that with documents everything is okay. But when you come and see the house, it will appear most probably that something is not right with those documents. And you would have to choose maybe 3, 4, or 5 houses that you like, and then check documents for those houses. And it might happen that from those 5 houses that you chose, that you liked, maybe 2 or 3 houses have problems with those documents. Well, of course, you would have to check documents each time when you see a house, and then when you choose 3, 4, or 5 houses, the houses that you liked, you would check documents more closely, maybe with a lawyer or detective or a notary, and it might appear that out of those 5 houses, maybe 2 or 3 houses still have some problems with documents, and it's pretty time-consuming and additional expenses to fix those problems. So better to find a house that has no problems with documents at all. Close the deal and that's it. You are all set up, and then you can live in that house straight away. If this video gets many views and if you like it many times, I will show you a typical house that costs about $4,000, and we will discuss how much you might expect to invest in it to live in such house comfortably. And comfortably, I do not mean to live like a king, but to live a decent, acceptable life. Just a hint, about 98% of houses in villages in Ukraine have an outdoor toilet and no bathroom nor shower. Well, also outdoor shower. And to live comfortably, you would need to build a toilet, a septic tank and to connect water to such house. And most probably you would have to connect water to the kitchen, because in many houses, in about 80% of houses, there are no kitchens inside the house. And when I'm talking about toilet in houses, I do not mean it's toilet like you see on many gas stations. It is like a hole in the ground, and trust me, you would not want to go to such toilet. It would have to be rebuilt completely. And for rebuilding, it would be additional about $5,000 for everything. To connect water, to install a simple septic, and to build the toilet, which will be with entrance from your house. And since you will have to build such toilet, it would be additional like $5,000. So we already hit $15,000 expense for everything. So if you like this video many times, I will record a second part to this video. If anyone needs my personal assistance, help or advice, please email me at my email address, and I always glad to help those people who really need help. Please let me know, what do you think of buying a house in Ukrainian village? Please write in comments and let's discuss it. In the meantime, I wish you all good luck, success, joy, happiness, and of course, stay healthy and wealthy.